Okay.
All right, and action. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 1 of Learning to Cope. I'm Warren Haney.
And I'm Nick Vogel. Each show, we will be talking to artists, asking them what being a creative is like in a world without personal interaction.
Our first guest is one of our dearest friends in the entire world, Spencer Funk. We both love this guy, and we've known him for over 6 years now. Spencer is a theater artist currently based in Talent, Oregon, after a van-packed move to New York with his fiancée was cut short due to the coronavirus outbreak.
In this episode, we're going to ask Spencer what that experience was like, what he's doing now, and where he sees everything going in the future. Without further ado, let's welcome on Spencer Funk.
That was fantastic.
All right, I think we got the intro done. That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, and then it'll be like the welcome, Spencer. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being our first guest today. Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Nick,
record.
you need to shut the fuck up right now.
Oh wait,
right?
are you not recording?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome, Spencer. Yeah.
Hey, Spencer, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
All right.
Thanks, guys. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Here in
great
separate
having you.
places because of the coronavirus outbreak.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
of course.
That is-
Yeah, you're over
so
in
wait, so
Medford,
what
Oregon
state are
right
you
now,
in
right?
right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little town called Talent, Oregon.
Oh. Talent or
Talon?
Talon or talent?
Like a bird?
Talent, Oregon, Like, there's this little theater here, and its slogan is where Broadway meets talent.
Hmm.
Oh.
I mean,
great.
visionary. Honestly, visionary.
I know. It's kind of funny because it's a small theater, but it's a good theater.
Yeah.
It is
No, I
where
bet
Broadway
it is a
meets
good
talent,
theater.
So,
It's true.
Yeah, we have a couple theaters here. This is a small one. I think it's called the
Well, a
Met?
couple small that are independent.
Or was it Carnegie Hall?
Huh.
What was the other one? There's the Javits Center and
Mhm.
Where Broadway Meets Broadway. That's here, I think.
Oh.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Heard
Although-
of that Broadway place. Sounds pretty cool. Might check it
It's
out.
I think Chicago's a little better than, don't go around.
Yeah, that's what they always say. Chicago, the greatest city in the world. They're like, Kansas City, the greatest city in the world, right? No.
Yeah. I just like, like all the perks of New York have fallen off the map. I really wish I was in Kansas City right now, and that is a really weird statement to be making. For
Well, Spencer, you were gonna move over to where was it? Where Mardi Gras is, right? Louisiana. You're gonna move right on over there.
Yeah.
weren't
Well,
you?
we were moving to New York when the pandemic broke out. We were on our way there, and we were taking a leisurely trip across country to get there. 1 month kind of stretched into 2, and we were in Florida when it broke out. And so we had to turn around and drive all the way home. We had packed all our stuff to go to New York and move there. And we just turned it around and headed back to our parents in Oregon.
Wow. You literally you went cross country twice. Just
Twice.
Back to back.
So you went all the way there and all the way
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, I think we drove something like 12,000 miles.
Whoa.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
impressive, man.
What has that been like for you? What has this been? That part of your journey, what was it like when you discovered that you had to go back?
Well, for me, it was really hard to accept. I was one of those people who was kind of at first, I was like, no, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that this is that serious. I think it'll blow over in a couple weeks. And I really wanted to stay on that train because I had goals. I had, things I wanted to do. But, soon it became clear that it was like bigger than me. And so, and then also, not only was it the right thing to do, but all the hotels were closing, the national parks were closing, all the places where we were parking our van, the only places left were like Walmarts, and the bathrooms were out of toilet paper, the stores were out of toilet paper, and it was like we just got to get home. Plus they had no idea where the virus had broken out, so we said we can't just be in a different place every day, and we can't be using gas station bathrooms every day. Those are places that hundreds of people touch. So, we we took like 45 days to go across country and like 6 or 7 days to go back. We just drove straight across.
Wow. What was your favorite place to? You were saying that Mardi Gras was the best place to go to on your journey, was like one of your favorite places, but which is kind of funny now considering, like looking back on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I really enjoyed New Orleans, not just for Mardi Gras, which was awesome, but also just so much history in that place, and so much, beautiful architecture and art, and the art was really accessible. You could just walk into people's galleries. There was an entire street that was like that, and people played jazz, right on the street. It was just one of those places where you didn't have to try that hard to be impacted by art, and I loved that. So we stayed there 9 days, and somehow we managed to dodge a bullet attending Mardi Gras. We didn't get the virus, at least as far as we know. I haven't been tested.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's
yeah, it's like insane to think that we were there knowing what we know now.
But how sick was the party?
Sharing all the drinks, you're making out with everybody. You and Julia both, just making out with everyone.
Definitely, yeah. We were just going wild. Every person we saw on the street. It's like no one was wearing any clothes at all except sparkles and beads. Just kidding. It wasn't like that. But everyone was really fucked up. But practically, I mean, people I didn't know handed me drinks, like Jello shots, like I went into people's houses that I didn't know. It was, it is kind of crazy how many strange places we went into.
Man, that just makes me think of like a skit of, it's like you wake up like the morning after Mardi Gras and you're like, what happened last night? And it's like, oh, you got corona. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what happened?
The Hangover Part 4, coronavirus.
Yeah, it comes back. The gift that keeps on giving.
Okay, so all right, so I guess the party then on a scale of 1 to 10 was like pretty wicked, right? Like, and
the party that is Mardi Gras.
Yeah, man. Like I've never been to Mardi Gras, so I can only imagine.
Well, Mardi Gras was like a party every night for all the nights we were there before and after Mardi Gras, and people we talked to said that it had been a party every night for like a month leading up to it. There are parades like 3 or 4 days a week, sometimes multiple parades for like the month or month and a half before Mardi Gras, and these parades are insanely elaborate. They're like hundreds, it seemed like hundreds of floats, and like multiple marching bands, multiple like 2-part giant paper mache, figurines, and they're throwing stuff at you. It's just like so decadent. You can't help but enjoy it.
Oh my god, dude! I think that's incredible. What was your most... Okay, so you did like a cross-country trip. You said 45 days. What was like the most picturesque spot? Like, what would you say, like, where did you stop that, like, you were so inspired that maybe you, like, opened a journal and started to write, or, like, wrote down a concept, or was there anything along the way that just really kind of got you into that, like, creative mode?
For me, I had trouble being creative on the road, because I was taking so much in, I guess. I think, I wrote a couple times, but mostly I was just kind of experiencing the country, and the place that made me just the most awestruck was the Grand Canyon. I mean, everyone says it, right? Everyone says that, but it's like your eyes can't focus when you see it for real, because your eyes have never really seen anything like that. That's just so vast. And it is incredible, to stand on the edge of it and just like look across this river cut landscape.
Mm. You didn't go on the skywalk, right? You didn't go on the skywalk?
Skywalk.
Yeah, there's like there's a little place out in the Grand Canyon where you can go in, and there's a skywalk area where you walk out over the canyon. There's like a little bridge that loops. It's like a small little loop. It's not a bridge. It doesn't go across it. It just is on one side of it. And there's just glass floor, and you just look right down on it.
Oh, no, I don't think I saw that while I was there.
Oh man, when I was a kid, I went there, and you have to wear like the booties, you know what I mean, on your shoes, so you don't scuff up the glass, or like get enough scratches on it so that it shatters and that you fall through and to the Grand Canyon. And
God.
so that's what I was always concerned about. I went there, and because I was so awestruck that I almost shit my pants, because I was there, and I just walked out onto that little sky bridge thing, and I was on the rail the whole time. I was just looking down and like seeing that. It's to your point, it's just immense, man. It's so deep. It took so much time to make that thing, and you kind of like, when nature hits you in the face with that, you're like, oh, whoa.
Honestly, I kind of felt like, how can I be creative in the face of that? It's one of those things where you see it and you're like, that the Grand Canyon itself is greater than any art could ever be about the Grand Canyon. It just is. It is grand. It is incredible. So, I mean, people do like landscapes and stuff.
You're like seeing millions of years of history just looking at like the rocks, right? Like, because it's a big canyon, like you can literally see like the millions of layers and millions of years of layers of rock like on the far wall. I mean, at least I'm imagining it. I literally still haven't been there, but I can only imagine what it's like to actually like be able to see time like that, like actually demarcated on a wall.
Yeah.
It's just like miles deep. It's incredible.
Makes you think, you know what I mean? The Grand Canyon. So you didn't write too much when you were on the road, but how has your process been? I mean, since you got back, actually, maybe we should go back a little bit, just because since this is our first episode, and just talking about how we all know each other.
Trying to get things together.
Because it's like going back on it. I mean, Spencer, like I met you our freshman year of college, and we went to Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle, right? And so we met each other from there. And Nick came along the year after that, and then we all kind of got to know each other, right, from this. So, yeah, like, we can talk more about just how we all got to be in contact, too, right?
Yeah. Well, you and I met just through classes and the school environment. Sorry, guys. A little cough.
Got a cough to get off.
What'd you say?
That's true. You got a cough to get off.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you said.
We'll edit that out in post. No. No, I won't.
Keep it in. Keep it in.
Oh man, Stone Theater Very Thoughts. Good. That's the other name for this podcast.
Yeah.
I have an idea for a line of questioning, if you don't mind, Warren.
Oh yeah.
To kind of take us into a different land. So this podcast is kind of about, it's like for artists by artists, you know. And right now it's kind of just like in the day, how is it right now to be this person. So I want to go back a little bit and just kind of ask you a basic question for you
Okay.
and, you know, your personal experience. What is it like being an actor?
What's it like being an actor?
Yeah, like what is it like? How
Um,
do you feel being an actor? Like what is it like? How are you doing that?
when I get to be an actor, I love it. Like when I'm acting, when I'm actively working on a project where
Yeah.
that's my role, um, I love it. It's it's so intriguing. It's so freeing. It's it can be frustrating getting inside a character's head when you don't know how to land a moment, but I love the pursuit of acting and love the feeling of working through a rehearsal process, and I love performing. I love all those things.
Of course.
Um, yeah. So
And
for
you're not just
me,
an actor either, right? You know, you do directing and
no.
playwriting and devising, kind of everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all the three of us went through the original works program at Cornish College of the Arts,
That's right.
and um, I mean, in that program, we did writing, acting, directing, but we also just did projects entirely on our own. And I think that's at the heart of my feeling about being an artist is I'm always an artist. I'm gonna do work when I want to do work, and if
Yeah,
I get to do that for a bigger company, that's amazing. I'll always apply for those opportunities, but you can't wait around for someone to give you work. You have to make work.
that's
So
right.
yeah, so when I'm lucky enough to be an actor on a big project or any project, I love that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of share those feelings. You know, that is one thing we all kind of grew up together. I mean, again, grew up together as in college. You know, but it feels like we've known each other for our whole lives. I mean, you know, you guys were the best men at my wedding. Um, you're my two best friends. It feels really right to be doing these, you know, the podcast with you guys right now. And we also
Yeah,
lived together for like years, and also we're in a company and like started our own theater company to make our own work. So it's like, um, yeah, I don't know. I know we're like doing a podcast, but I just want to say I love you guys, you know,
Oh,
and
love you too, man.
love you
yeah,
too, man.
y'all rock. Okay, so next
Yeah.
question. Okay, so now
So
that
moving
you're
on.
explaining,
Shut up. Moving on.
I'm not crying. Okay, so the thing is,
I'm crying a little.
okay, I'm crying a little too. So what is it like? What has changed? Like, what is it like being an actor slash theater artist right now? Like in this day and age, what is different about it that wasn't that way in February?
Well, for me, there's just no work. There's just
Right.
no work. Is the
Yeah.
bottom line. Um, At least I thought so. But people are getting creative, and I actually was contacted just the other day about being part of a online performance, and they're actually like selling tickets and making money on this. They're getting up to 75 people a night watching this play, and every night a different actor couple or roommates who are in quarantine together are performing this live from their living room because it's only a two-person play. So it's this play that's perfect for quarantine because all you need is two people, and it's very much about their relationship and not about what's happening to them in the world and not about how the world's
Right.
acting on them. So it has that nice escapism as well. They're not worried about something outside. They're just focusing on being with this one person. um, anyway, brilliant idea to have a different couple perform it every night. And the playwright we just talked with her today said that they've had people come back and watch it multiple times, and they're
Yeah.
interested in the concept of like how different people are portraying these roles, and also just getting an inside look into these actor couples' lives. I mean, they're performing it from their living rooms, so
Right.
it's
Right.
it's a pretty neat idea, and I'm
Do you know what
excited we'll get to perform it soon.
what's it called again? Like, what's the whole thing called?
The play is Nexus by Daniellemohlman. She's a
Mm.
Seattle-based playwright, but she's lived on the East Coast as well.
Wow.
Wow, awesome.
Okay.
That's so cool.
That's incredible. Yeah, I'm gonna make a note. Maybe we can get her on this podcast next time. Danielle.
Yeah, she's
What was Ullman?
great
What's
person to
the play
talk
called
to.
again? Nexus. Okay.
Nexus.
Cool. Nexus play. Cool.
Yeah, we gotta start getting
Yeah.
some
I
better
mean,
people on this podcast. You know what I mean? You gotta
oh
start
my
getting
god, I
some-
know the fucking guest list is.
Like dwindling, you know. No, I'm just kidding. Oh,
Okay, back
God.
to you, Spence.
Yeah.
We.
You know I love you, Spencer. Spencer, you know I love you.
So yeah,
No, but I think that's true.
a chance to make art in quarantine. It's a chance to act in quarantine, and I also get to act with my fiance, which is a wonderful challenge. And
So you and Julie are going to be doing this together. Are you going to be like fully memorized and stuff?
No, it's going to be
performance, or is it-
like a staged reading. So we're trying to get creative about how we can bring the audience in, even in our living room. But
Right.
there's no hiding that it's just going to be us kind of reading the script and giving it the best we got.
Sure. Oh man, that's so cool. Let me know when that is, because we'll definitely come. Do you have like a date and everything yet? So we
Yeah,
could, like,
May 17th at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay,
Okay.
so May 17th, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Is there a certain website people should go to visit to find you?
I don't have
on
that
date?
yet, but I can
Okay.
send you the details. And yeah,
It's okay. Our listeners are smart enough. If they just Google Danielle Ullman Nexus Play, May 17th, 1
Mohlman.
p.m. Mohlman, thank you. And Spencer Funk
Yeah,
and Julia Holden Hunkins. Then
that's
they'll be
great.
there. And we'll definitely be listening. And
Absolutely.
so congrats on booking something, man. That's fucking like incredible for real. Like
I know. I feel
I was in New
like
York during
I fe-
when this wasn't happening and wasn't booking anything. So it's
Well,
awesome.
maybe that's for the best. I mean, you could have had a career-altering moment ripped out of your hands by this pandemic.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I know a couple people that did. One of my friends was on a national tour, and they had hit like their third city, and they just flew everyone home, like because someone in the cast got the virus.
Jeez.
Yeah, and so I think, and then they didn't get tested, but then I think they got the virus too. So, and then they got their whole house sick. Yeah, so everyone got the virus with them. So it's like, that's why people are shutting down. It's like, because it's not just a danger of like, oh, we might get like an audience member sick. It's like, oh, we might get like the family of the people in this business sick too.
Yeah.
It's like this huge thing.
And I think
Yeah.
that artists have somehow, we kind of understood how these things spread in a different way. Because, I it's kind of strange, but I think like a virus spreads in the same way that an idea spreads when you're, sharing it on a stage or in a piece of art or something. It's like everyone who comes in contact with it kind of gets a taste of that idea, and that's the same thing with a virus. It's like everyone that comes in contact with literally a certain person or a thing they've touched or a thing they've been near is exposed. And artists know that comes from community. It comes from people being together, that contact, and that same contact does expose us to dangers and to things like disease. But it's kind of
I think
new,
it's
something like
it's an
this
interesting-
shutting. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I think that's just because we're delayed, with the phones. But I think it's a really interesting parallel to draw between like globalization and, the way this virus is spreading, but then also like the way that ideas have been spreading like that now that the internet is becoming more accessible to more and more people around the world. Like if you get recorded doing one new thing, like 1 million people could see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And now that idea took, instead of like taking word of mouth, maybe it would have taken like months to get like an idea from, England to Italy back in the 1800s. But now it takes like, what is it? Like a few like microseconds or whatever to get one idea. Because you
Right.
could just be live streaming it to like all the way, someone in India could see, I could be live streaming with them, and then they would just have that same idea with me right away, or they would be giving me a different idea that I never would have had right away. And now that we're able to fly around the world, we're also transmitting disease like that, instead of like this slow creep that the diseases used to do, because they would just like follow horses and boats. Now it's like in one day, the entire world can just be infected.
Yeah. It's a crazy time, man. It's a really crazy time. So on that level of it, Spencer, like, so what do you think then happens? Or like, do you have any thoughts on like what life will be like and what art making might be like after this time of Corona happens? After we go through this time?
After this happens, I think art will be more important than ever. I think especially live performance. I'm missing it. Like it breaks my heart that every theater in the world pretty much is shut down right now. That is just heartbreaking for me. I have no other words for it. But I also think, like I was saying, artists, have been pretty gracious about this. I haven't heard my artist friends saying, "Oh no, I don't want to keep people safe. I want to go back to work."
Right.
And so I think people are finding ways to be creative during quarantine. I think people are. Let me start over. So, after this pandemic, I think there's going to be a boom of art because everyone's dreaming on their projects right now. Everyone's putting something together, and they can't do anything but prepare. People can write their next play. People can, rehearse maybe if it's something small, or they can, work on paintings, and they can work on, anything that's personal, anything that's solitary, and then give it a platform when this is all done. And I think, theaters that are open are going to be looking for, filling spots that they have holes in their schedule. There's going to be people casting projects that, were postponed, and, they couldn't replace all the actors. I think there's going to be lots and lots of kind of chaos trying to get back to where we were before.
Yeah.
It's tough. I'll let you go, Nick.
Oh, I think like one of the things that is more difficult, I think that's like a really positive outlook. And I think that's one that like I think I want to adopt more of that sort of an outlook, because mine I think has been pretty bleak, like it's tough for me because we don't know when this is all going to go back. Like it's like it could be 2 years until we get a vaccine, and until people like we're even allowed to go see a Broadway show, at least one that like we're not, the house is going to be like still probably seated, like 6 feet apart from everybody. And like people are still going to be wearing masks, I think, probably until there's a vaccine. And so like for me, it feels like a bit of a punch in the gut, because, like I know you guys, just like me, trained like our whole lives to do live performance. Our majors, we all have the same major, BFA in original work, which, it's live work that we have the most experience in, right? It's like dealing with live theater. And like that industry is just literally went from like 100 to 0 overnight with no sign of when it will come back. I think like,
and all the surrounding industries in food and in events and in all that type of stuff, bars, restaurants, all the venues, everything just totally went kaput.
Yeah, but it's like, but then it's also like not even films are happening right now. Like they're not even filming films.
I know.
So like you're not even gonna get like TV. Like we're gonna run out of that's a scary thought. We're gonna run out of Netflix TV shows to watch if this goes on long enough. We're gonna run out.
I don't think that's gonna happen though. I think, I mean, just to say, it's like the people are starting to lift things even now, just like easing out stuff, whether people agree with it or not. You know what I mean? And we always find a way. That's one of the things, though, too, is just kind of like to what Spencer's point is that it's, and also like how we've kind of been trained is like through the restrictions, through the confines is how we find our way. And just like how we're doing, even within like a couple of months, doing like 2-person plays that Spencer and Julie are a part of, which I'm very excited to go see.
Oh yeah.
But then also being able, like, different dance videos that go on, chain script writing stuff that happens. That we are part of an interconnected world now, and it's a really cool thing to also experience what it's like to create in a cloud, I guess,
No,
right?
it's true. It's true. I think, yeah.
But
If I'm just
yeah,
playing devil's
the
advocate
factor of
as the
live
pessimist,
performances.
I just love live performance, and I love like sharing a space with a lot of individuals. Like watching
Yeah.
a show, like when people's heartbeats sync up in that same room. I just like, I don't know. I really hope it's not the last time that we get to do something like that.
Same.
It's not. No, there's no way they
It's
can
not.
take that. There's no way they can take that away. And any virus can take that away, because here's the thing: is it will become essential, like you say. Like, we won't have new TV shows that are speaking to the situation we're facing now. We won't have new songs recorded that are speaking to the situation now. And that just gets so tired. You can't just listen to the same old stuff forever. People need new inspiration. I mean, arts really do serve a vital role. I know this is for artists
true.
by artists, right? Everyone knows that, like, they inspire people. They challenge people to see things outside the box. It's
Yeah. It's this
you
weird
need those
dichotomy,
things
though,
to stay
because
sane.
I agree, because it's like, what do we have to live for if we don't have art? But then at the same time, like, I get this weird feeling that like I should have majored in like environmental science or like medicine or something, so that I could be going out there
Yeah.
and like helping. I feel bad just
Right.
sitting at home.
Yeah.
And like, even like if I just like feel this weird sense of like I'm not doing, like, I hear all these like crazy numbers going on outside that are like, like 1,000 new deaths today from New York City, and like I'm just sitting in my apartment, like twiddling my thumbs, like maybe playing video games or like even if I'm writing a script, it just feels so, who cares? Like 1,000 people just died and I sat at home and did nothing. Like, but then that's what I'm being told to do, right?
Yeah. It's a
go
cognitive
home.
dissonance, because the best thing
Yeah.
you can do is nothing.
Right.
And I think what people forget is that this is a natural disaster, basically. It's man versus nature, and nature will win in the end. That is more powerful than us. And so,
Yeah.
there's fight, flight, or freeze, and you can't outrun this. You can't fight this. So you freeze. You let it pass.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, on a more positive note, I have seen a lot more art being done creatively. Like I felt more compelled to share some of my songs that I've been writing at home with other musicians and being like, oh, like, what do you think about putting a bass line here? Because like before I would just be like, oh, like I'll just do it with like my band, but it's like I can't go meet up with those people anymore. So but then at the same time, like I just recorded a children's book today at home, and then I sent in a video for like we just got to keep going, like a fun little YouTube collage thing. So there is like a lot of art being done, and I think you're right. Like those things make us feel, they give other people hope. It's like it's gonna give some kid joy to listen. Hopefully, hopefully I did a good job, but hopefully, it'll give some kid joy to listen to my reading of the book.
Right.
Or it'll give someone, like another artist, joy to see me like struggle to light a match in this video in some comic way, and that's just as important, as like, I don't think it's weird because I think we can't compare importance really when it comes to like being a doctor or being, a scientist or something in a time like this, but like there is a level of importance to making, like if I can make a doctor laugh, or if I can make a nurse like if I can like help get a nurse's kid to sleep because I did a children's book, like giving to society.
Well, I
That way. So
mean,
I
if
think
we're
that's like a
saying
positive way
like,
to think
if
about
we're
it.
saying like marijuana dispensaries and liquor stores are essential, then like recording children's book. Yeah, I mean, like people are literally like sitting home doing nothing and being like, "Oh, those artists are still not important. They shouldn't get paid for their work. Damn, damn those
That's true.
artists. Their work's not real."
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? Like, there's
Yeah.
essential work to do, but essentially, you're getting paid to expose yourself to the virus, and
Yeah.
you know,
And they're
I
also
don't
just
think it's
paying us to
like,
be at home right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we got to go out sometime. You know what I mean? That's one of the hardest things. Or like at some point we need to think of how we got to go back out there. You know what I mean? Because then,
right,
because what's the alternative? It's just we just hang out. Because that's one of the things that is, I know some of the hardest things for people that are used to just going as
yeah,
artists are. That's one of the things that I totally understand when I've talked to so many artists right now about the whole thing of people are going crazy right now, or on the other end, they are feeling very lethargic.
Yeah.
Right? It's
right,
this time of this coronavirus time is very interesting because you're able to get all of your plans completely wrecked. You know what I mean? All your plans for like the year, the summer, the fall. Like artists love to be able to plan ahead all the time. At least artists that I know, and
Yeah.
you get all
well, right.
that
You have to
just
be
taken
booked
away
6
from you.
months out. You have to be booked 8 months out. You know, people are like, "Oh yeah, I'm
Right?
booked for next June. I'm booked for next July," and that's like
Yeah.
your sense of career stability, you know, and financial stability is how far out are you booked.
Yeah, exactly. And so then to have all of that just taken away from you, I've talked to so many artists that are now like, well, fuck. I kind of just got the wind knocked out of me, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I
I
Yeah. I
just got
think
the
that's
also
wind
like a
knocked
have
out of
fair
me. What do I do?
noticed
response.
I've noticed that this virus has kind of revealed like a urban versus rural divide, because people who
Mm,
live like out in the country, their way of life like doesn't change that much, because people generally live with a lot of space between them and like separate buildings. And you know, where I'm
right.
at, like we have a well, we have, you know, like a wood stove for heat, so we're pretty independent. But in a city, if you live in shared housing, like an apartment or anything, you know, a house with friends, you're relying on like, you know, the power grid and the utilities and the Teamsters to get your food to you and all this stuff that, you know, it really like hits cities so hard. And what's beautiful about the arts is they take place in some of the greatest cities in the world, like the most extravagant and most like well produced art does. But it's also
Yeah.
like that art is completely shut down right now.
Yeah.
Mm,
The entire
mm,
economy around it and everything.
Yeah. It's like it's just very interesting. I think the one thing to like consider, or just for us and for anybody listening, is like, like whatever way you are handling this lockdown, like it's okay. Like you don't need to feel guilty about if you're feeling lethargic,
mm,
or if you're feeling like you need to do even more, or if you're putting out content right now, or you're taking a break, or like if you're working an essential worker job, like whatever you're doing, like you're doing a good job at it. Like just keep going. Like you got this. um,
yeah.
like because
We're
it
all in this
definitely gets
together.
me down sometimes. And I
All
have
that's
to remember,
expected
like,
is that you stay home.
yeah, it's the first time you
Right.
can like be a superhero by like literally playing a superhero game on your like PS4.
Right. Right. You're
um,
doing your part. You're
yeah,
doing your part.
I know I've definitely done my part.
Mm.
I've played so many video games.
Yeah.
Man, the medal of true bravery goes to Nick.
Thank
Nick
you.
Vogel. At the end of all
Right.
this,
My
President Trump's going to give
thumbs,
you a medal, Nick.
my
But
thumbs are
also
sore
shout
everywhere
out
right
to
now.
all the people who are, you know, working on the front lines,
Oh my god.
because That
Yeah,
is
of course.
Of
insane. I have
course.
seen the pictures of
Absolutely.
nurses with bruises on their faces from wearing ventilators all day, day after day. They have like
Ugh.
ingrained bruises on their faces from handling so many patients and having to wear the fucking ventilator all the time. And yeah, I mean, those people are like warrior status. They are more than just essential. Like they're I don't think anyone would even shame them if they like didn't want to do their job right now. It's so dangerous, and so
Oh
like
man, yeah.
difficult and so,
Scary as
like
hell.
long hours and just being exposed to sick people all the time, and then like everyone you go home to at the end of the day is now like at risk for the virus.
Yeah, and I
Right.
definitely
But and
we have like a
you
nurse
get
in
it.
my family. Shout out to Kristen, who's going in and doing that every day. That stuff's like, that's like kind of not even what nurses signed up for. Like I know that they signed up to like be around sick people and do this thing, but like they're working like so extra hard. And I think that's the one thing that the social distancing is about, really. Like it's about the doctors and it's about the nurses. Like it's not even about like it is about us, right? Because we want to make sure that they can care for
Right.
us. But like it's not even about having less amount of people get sick. It's about having less amount of people get sick at the same time. Because if everyone gets coronavirus right away, then the hospitals will be overrun. But if that same amount of people get coronavirus over the span of, instead of like 2 months, if they get it over the span of a year, all of a sudden our hospitals don't go above 100%, and
Right.
we're able to save the correct amount of people rather than like have to
Right.
choose which person lives or dies. So we actually are like saving lives by dragging it out. I don't know that we're actually going to prevent coronavirus from infecting everybody. Like, who knows? This thing seems to have every trick up its sleeve when it comes to like, again, I'm not a scientist, but when it comes to viruses, it seems to be pretty agile when it comes to like infecting things.
Yeah.
So maybe it won't infect us. Like maybe it will infect all of us, but like hopefully because of these measures, we're not going to overrun our hospitals by all getting infected at the same time.
Right.
Dude,
Um,
it must have felt like the sky was falling over there, like around like early April, like
in New
late
York.
March, early April, when everything was really racking up. Because I was hearing all that in the news, just being over here in Idaho, and even me, I was like, oh my god, like this is spreading like crazy, and like you're starting to see all this stuff happen. That was just me in Idaho. You must have felt like the world was exploding over there.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. I have lived in New York for about a year and a half, and so I really, I make friends quickly, but I don't have like, I probably have like 10 or 15 friends here. And
Right.
out of those folks, I know like 8 of them have gotten it.
Whoa.
So
Whoa.
yeah, so like that's the level that it's at.
What?
And you walk outside here, still it's still like, yes, we're going down on the curve and hospitalizations are going down, but we are still like at the level when everyone was panicking. You know what I'm saying? So things are still
Hmm.
crazy. You still walk outside and it's like a ghost town more than ever. Almost every single person that you see outside, which you don't see many still, and every shop is still boarded up, but almost every single person you see has a mask now. Almost every single one. And if they don't, they're like a jogger, you know.
Hmm.
Wow.
And so it's nuts. We still see like there's still gloves and face masks just littered all over the ground. The second you walk out the door.
Whoa.
And the other day we were just because you have to like, we all live in such small apartments here, and we are not, we are like, party of 2 living in a studio, so we're definitely doing that like New York living. And so you do need to get out and walk every once in a while, which by the way
Yeah.
is totally legal. The governor even recommends it, go take a walk, but wear a mask.
Yeah, absolutely.
And um,
Be responsible about it, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
but what was I even going to say? Oh my Lord. When we
Uh,
do go out,
just when you
it's
go out,
just,
being out in a studio.
yeah, it's just like, it's nuts, man. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It feels like it literally looks like an apocalypse movie, but like for real. And like the
Mm.
creepiest thing is looking up at the subway going by and there's no one in it. Like the subways are still running, but no one is in the subway at all. So
Wow.
Right.
it's, and like, yeah, so you're like seeing that, and like there's no cars on the road, there's no, you know, and we live in Brooklyn, and it's bustling like 100% of the time where we're at, and it is not bustling ever, you know. And I think honestly it feels like half the city probably has gone home, and then and then of the people that are here, most of them are just like holed up at home all the time, you know. And by go home, I mean, you know, most people that live in New York have family outside of New York with bigger,
Yeah.
more land
Yeah.
to go spread out on. You know, almost a lot of people I know here have left the city, that were able to.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a ghost town in the way that most people aren't here, and it's a ghost town in that everyone that is here is staying in. That was a very long-winded way of saying it, but it's just like, it's just like, I don't know. It's almost unbelievable because I go out and now I know what to expect, right? Because it's been going on for a couple months, and it's weird to live with the expectation that I'm gonna see surgical masks and gloves the second I walk out the door, and that
Right.
Yeah.
like every store is gonna be closed, and that when I go to the grocery, I'm gonna have to wait in line outside the shop, you know. And then like it's hard not to have like an anxiety attack when you're in the grocery store too, you know, because you're walking around. And like it's not even like, it doesn't matter if you're taking all the precautions in the world, like you're also at the will of every other person in the store with you, in the grocery. Like if one other person, right, maybe is sick or doesn't know they're sick, like most people that have this disease, and they're just not taking it seriously and not wearing a mask, they could literally infect the whole store like in the time that they're there. If they like get close
Just
enough
fuck
to you,
everyone else over.
yeah. Oh, dude, the other day I was at the pharmacy, and this guy like literally like touched me on the shoulder to ask if it was the line, wasn't wearing a mask. And like I was just like, yeah. And I was like, please get away from me. Like I didn't know. It's weird because you're like, how do I be polite, right? Like, and like, but also tell you to please not touch me. It just feels so wrong, you know, because I'm already, you know, and I think a lot of theater people are like this, but already like pretty touchy-feely. Like it's okay if someone taps me on the shoulder normally. It's like normal behavior. It's just
Right.
like all of a sudden like that could be like lethal. Not even, you know, like
Right.
it's like the lethal like, and you know, and then this
Yeah.
guy like is just so oblivious, right? He went in the store and was just so close to everyone. He touched like 6 bottles of different kinds of Tylenol. And in my head,
Oh
I'm
my
just like,
gosh.
this old man. All right, this is, maybe we'll cut this part out. Maybe this is just for us. But I was like, this old man's
No,
gonna
keep
die.
it in. I'm liking it.
This old man is gonna die. He's the one that's gonna catch it and also give everyone else the sickness. Because like, first of all, he's 80, wrinkly, like, and so he's already like in the group, and he's not wearing a mask. He's touching everything and getting close to everyone. I was just like, this is the man. Like, this is because people like that exist and are around and are just totally oblivious. Like that man could, if he, let's say he was sick that day, he probably got 20 people sick just by going to the pharmacy, you know. And then all the people that went in to buy Tylenol later, who maybe just have the common cold, now also have coronavirus because he touched that pill bottle. Yeah. And so it's like, it's this weird, like, it's this weird,
This
like
is
Wild West
horrifying
thing
shit
because
right
everyone
now.
is navigating like it's like a new set of manners that everyone has to learn to play by.
Right.
It's like we're given a whole new playbook on like what it means to go outside and the rules that you have to go. Even when you're walking down the street, like it goes down your mind, like, should I cross if someone's coming down the sidewalk towards me? Should I
Right.
like dodge out of the way? Like, is it weird? Do I look weird? You know, all those thoughts pass through your mind because
Yeah.
you've never had to. It feels like you're on another planet, and like there's a whole new set of rules for this alien species that's like kind of like humans, but way more sensitive about space. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? To your point, I hope this will happen. I hope that we start adopting bowing into our culture again, and like in America. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a cool thing to adopt.
Yeah.
Like bring bowing in. You know what I mean?
Dude, you know what? I
Yeah.
think that would be great because I miss bowing on stage, and maybe I could get that.
Every time you conclude an interaction with someone, you bow.
Okay, just to get out of bed
Performance.
every morning, I
End
have Bree
scene.
do a drum roll. I get a drum roll to get out of bed because I won't do it. I'll stay
That'd
in
be
bed
dope.
if I don't get a drum roll.
That's good. Just like your day slowly starts to become your
Performance.
regular rehearsal process and performance every day.
Yeah. It's, dude,
The
I'm
worlds
starting to
start
read
melding.
Shakespeare for fun. That's how I know. That's how I know I'm an actor at heart. It's fun.
Yeah.
You've
I'm
been
reading
reading
Richard.
Shakespeare?
Yeah, I'm reading Richard 3 right now, and it's blowing my mind.
Oh, Richard 3.
It's so good.
So
It's
good.
so good. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, should we go back to our questions?
Yeah. What
Oh
you
my
got?
Lord.
Yes.
Um.
Yes, we should.
Okay. Maybe we should talk about how moving to New York is cursed.
How
I think
moving
that's
to
it.
New York? What?
Oh, because
Moving
you
to
had
New
a
York
bad time.
City is cursed. Yeah. Spencer, you took
You
a
had a
van
bad time when you moved.
and spent 45 days out of like what was going to be maybe 60 days of a trip to get to New York, and a pandemic hit just to keep you and Julia from coming to New York. And then
Yeah, I kind of felt like that.
yeah, that's exactly what it was. It just didn't want you to live here. That's all that's going on. Because New York didn't want us to live there either. We got a van packed up, and we were gonna do a 3-week trip across the country, and we didn't
Right, and then
even
your
make
TV
it out of
broke,
Oregon.
and then your van broke down.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So getting out of the parking lot, the thing that I spent the most time packing was the TV, because I am a huge gamer nerd, and I had this really nice Samsung TV. I'm gonna cry. I miss it. Okay, back on track. So bye, Sammy. So rest in peace. Yeah. So we broke that coming out of the place. I almost got arrested when we were leaving Seattle, and then I was driving out of I know. I was driving out of Seattle, and I was on literally, I mean, it was 48 hours no sleep, because we had, mostly me, I had failed to pack at all before. So yeah, so the 48 hours leading up
before
was
moving
pretty
across the country.
hectic.
Right.
Yeah. And so then we get to Oregon. So we've made it one state south from Washington, because we started in Seattle. And before we get to our home base in Oregon, because we were going to spend a day or two with Bree's parents, and yeah, the car broke down and was totaled. It started smoking on the highway, and then we took it into the shop, and it was totaled. So so then we had to take a plane there and drive. So we'd already basically thrown away like half of our things to try to fit all the other things in a van, which I'm sure you went through as well, Spencer. Our van was even smaller than yours. And then we had to throw all the rest of the things away and bring only what we could fit on an airplane.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was our experience moving to New York. Then we get to New York, and the apartment that we were going to be in, that's much smaller than we had been told it was going to be. And there is a leak in the bathroom coming from the ceiling, so that is constantly showering. And the AC doesn't work, and it's the middle of summer in New York. So it's July, or it's June, and it's like 100 degrees. We're on the bottom floor. And, oh, that's another thing. The apartment was street level. And the first thing that happened when I was moving into my house, I had the lights on and it was night, and I carried the bags in, and someone from the street looked me dead in the eye, just the same level as me in my apartment, and waved at me. As if to say, welcome to New York, motherfucker.
I gotta say, that sounds cursed as fuck. Like,
bro, it's cursed. You didn't even make it here, bro. I am telling you, that shit is
it took
so cursed.
Almost all that. It took a pandemic.
Dude, New York just straight up doesn't want people to come. That's what I mean. Like, if you can make it here, but you just have to be willing to just take it, and just it just keeps, you eventually just like you get enough bruises that you build up enough like scar tissue, you just don't feel it anymore. The city, like the city is still beating you every day, just really heavy handed. But you just are used to it, and then you can do okay. And that's why they say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, because nowhere beats you harder than New York.
So Nick, let me ask you, do you think it's worth it? Like 100% worth it?
Okay, I was starting to think that it was until this pandemic hit. So that's my caveat. Because before this pandemic hit, I'm not going to like go into it, but I had a really, you two know, I had a really nice opportunity pop up for me where I was going to be writing for live TV. And that is no longer happening, because that company has lost 30% of their stock since this hit, and is no longer hiring people. And the person that was hiring me is fired. Like, he no longer works there either. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's like we went from a market that was going upwards, right? And they were hiring, and I was literally I did an interview. It was fantastic, and then the guy that was interviewing me got fired because the day that I did my first interview, they had dropped 7% that day. The company dropped 7% in value in one day, and since then they've just continued to drop. So because it's literally live events. It's what they do. And it's live televised events, and like they just aren't having them, so they don't have any place for. So right now I'm kind of feeling like a little bit punched in the gut, because it's like I got here, I feel like I finally got acclimated. It took me longer than I wanted it to, but I finally like feel like I could call New York kind of my home, like I know my way around. I don't hate leaving the home anymore. Like, I've really gotten used to it. I really like New York. The charm is here, and I've really started to love the people that I know, and the community I've grown around me. And all of a sudden, that was done. And then the job that I did have doing live events in the city, just for like children's events, that also got stopped. So every source of income that I had doing art got stripped away from this pandemic. So it's been a bit of a weird thing, because I'm like, but at the same time, I think I'm gonna stay. Like, I don't think I'm gonna leave. I love this place, and I also like, I don't know. I just feel like even after this, maybe it's never gonna like quote unquote blow over, but I feel like the center of the world is still gonna be New York City, and I feel like that's still where I want to be. I love being here. I love being where it happens. I love that I can go see the coolest and the newest and the biggest and the brightest, and and that I get a chance to start to be a part of that, maybe once it starts back up, because I feel like I've kind of like earned my stripes, like I've taken it. And I've got my stripes now. I feel like I'm like got my cleats are on, I'm tied up, I'm ready to play the game, and then all of a sudden the game is like postponed. So I'm like, do I like walk back home with my like tail between my legs, or do I just like stay in my uniform and weather out the storm, hope that the field reopens,
keep training
to play? Yeah. So I think I'm gonna choose to stay right now. I think it's still worth it that we moved here, even with this. Yeah.
Good. Well, that's really good to hear, because I've been wondering. It sounds so scary from the outside. It sounds like, it's the worst place to be. But to hear someone who's inside of that saying, no, we can still stay together, that's inspiring. So that'll make me want to go for sure. Makes me want to get back in the van and drive to New York as soon as those Broadway theaters are casting again.
Hell yeah, dude, get out here, man. I mean, like, yeah, I think it's very much, I think if you've trained your whole life for something, like, it's worth taking a shot at the top, it's worth being in the, if it takes being in a certain zip code, it's worth trying to move to that zip code and making it happen. So yeah, man, I think that's commendable. I really think you still should move out here, especially, I think, see how it goes. I definitely have also, so with all that said about New York and what I want to do, I've also definitely dreamed and wished that I was like back in some ranch in St. Louis or something, back at home, where I had like a bunch of space to roam, and I could just like go hang out outside and like have my own lawn. I feel like right now that would be a choice if I had like a garden to tend to. And
well, I can tell you firsthand, it is the best way to spend pandemic. I've been working outside and in the garden and in the forest, and it's pretty satisfying to just have something to put my body and mind into every day.
Yeah. Very good.
Well, Warren, so you were thinking about moving to Atlanta. if I remember
Yeah.
right. What are your plans now looking like? Have they changed since the pandemic and everything has happened?
Honestly, I'm kind of still planning on going around the same time frame. And it, to what both of you guys are talking about, and with you, Spencer, going to New York, you and Julia, it's it makes me think about. I read this. There's this one book that I really love, like Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and a lot of the time he talks about all these different people that um, just also like persevering, yes, by being committed, yes, to what they're doing, of course, it plays a part in it, but it's also being there at the right time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you have to be in the right place at the right time. And I think that this is going to be a really cool moment for a lot of artists after now that we're going on the down end of this coronavirus deal. I hope that we're going on the down end of it at least. And there's going to be a new fire that comes out. We always find ways through the ashes to rise above that and find something new. So I'm really excited, honestly, just because I'm going to go over to this city right when things are starting back up again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm trying to plan it to be. Because, and I think that's what a lot of artists are also trying to do as well. They're trying to find the right place to be when everything starts catching fire again, and being able to like start lighting up as an artistic community, because it's, you know, it's going to happen, whether it's a couple months from now, a year from now, a couple years from now, it's gonna rise up again, that we're going to be able to have the birth of this kind of new wave of the new 20s, right? So for me, it just makes me excited because I feel like I'm going to the right place at the right time, and that I feel that by going there right when this is all kind of dying down, I'm hoping to choose the right time frame
Yeah.
based on my best guesses. But to go there and be right at the forefront of something big, I think that's what a lot of artists are feeling right now.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. It's like, all the projects that were scheduled to shoot during coronavirus, all the ones that were shooting during coronavirus, and all the ones that were, everyone's dreaming of now that they want to shoot, after it's done. It's going to be so many projects, and right. I think people are going to want to do them. I mean, a lot of people have invested, time, money, like, made the props, like booked the sets, all that stuff, and the venues want, they want to keep that contract. They want to have bookings the moment that the bands lift. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
we're going to be hungry, man.
Yeah.
We're going to be hungry. Again, that's what happens, is like where there's so much, just the three of us talking tonight, we just talked about like how frustrating it is not to be creating. And so like people during this time, just like how we're doing this podcast, I think I told this to Nick, just as a quick story. I went to try to go find a USB microphone to record for this podcast, and because I was like, oh, Nick, would this be cool to do this podcast just about like we can talk with different friends about art making? And he's like, yeah. So I go to shop online for this thing, and I look in. Best Buy is going to get it to me in like a week. And I'm like, what's going on? All the USB microphones are sold out. Like in the whole state of Idaho. How many people are doing podcasts?
Everyone's upgrading their gaming equipment. They're upgrading their... I bet it's like companies bought 10 so that everyone could do video conferencing real good.
Yeah. So it's just like it just scattered. But I think that there is a small percentage of it
Idaho
too. That's
is
just
the
like
new New York City.
Yeah, Boise, Idaho is going to be the new cultural hub of the world.
By the way, if you don't live in a big city, we still love you. All of us came from like really small towns. We only live in these big cities because art is like here, and this is where our industry is. If I had my choice, I'd be up in the mountains a mile from the nearest neighbor. But alas, my nearest neighbor, if I knocked on the wall right now, they'd knock back. So
they'd knock back. You gotta do the. Yeah. Do you do the shave and haircut 2 bits? You gotta do that one.
Shaving and haircuts?
Yeah, like. Oh. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Well, so here's the I have to say something about my visit to Boise, and my experience with it being the cultural hub of the world. So I
Right.
went to a few bars in Boise with Warren. That was pretty much what we did. We just kind of went to Boise at night and went to like 3 different bars. I think
Yep.
Blink 182 was playing in all 3 bars. Like,
Okay, I'm moving to Idaho, Boise, Idaho. I'm moving specifically to Boise, Idaho right now. That's
Moving
yeah.
to
I mean, like,
Boise
I like Blink 182, but that
tomorrow.
was hilarious.
I'm Blink
you know,
182's
I mean,
biggest fan. I'll go live in Boise. if
Blink
that's what it's
182
going
is good for any occasion.
well, that's kind of
Any
what they
occasion.
figured.
Small things.
That's the Idaho way.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. What's the rest of
Oh
it?
god! All the small things.
That
that one.
you know, that's what is. Honestly, I think the whole world, after this coronavirus, we all can learn a little something from the band Blink 182. So
Yeah,
maybe that's where
Well, the
Boise is. That's
UFOs
where
are
we all
real.
learn.
We know that now. Hot
We
take.
do know that now.
The breaking news. Yeah, UFOs are real. What? I'm not saying
Yeah.
aliens are real. Bree is giving me the eyes. I'm not saying aliens are real, but there's definitely UFOs flying around this place.
Who reported it?
The Pentagon.
Yeah, we gotta have our sources here, Nick. What?
The Pentagon. Did you guys not see the video?
No.
The Pentagon?
Wait, I gotta
Okay, yeah,
look this up
literally-
right now.
Yeah, look up UFO
Yeah,
sighting. I had already seen this video, though. I don't know. It was not new to me when like people were showing it, but apparently,
Well, this
I
was
had
happening a
apparently
month
just
or so
had
ago,
access
right?
to it. I don't know how, but yeah, no, they just released it officially today. You could have gotten it somehow.
Oh.
I had seen it already, but it's like on ABC News, NBC, Fox. They all have this big story out about these UFOs.
UFO
'cause they-
videos have been officially released.
Yep, official. So they're like
Whoa.
official now. Because you used to go like, "Is this the video?" And the FBI or the CIA would be like, "Nope." And now you go, "Is this the video?" And they're like, "Yep, we released that." And it's the same video.
That's us.
It's been out, but yeah.
Do you know what that makes me think? You know what that makes me think? It's like, all right, how long have they actually known about UFOs? You know what I mean? It's like they
the
just now
misnomer
released
is
it.
this.
Like,
The
oh,
mi-
officially.
The misnomer is that UFOs just doesn't mean aliens. It's not the same thing. It's unidentified flying
Right.
objects, right? So it's just something that we can't identify, which means that literally we can't identify it as an alien because it's unidentifiable. See, Bri, it's not aliens.
Right. But when you see something that like moves in like diagonal lines, like it's not just like
Okay, it's definitely aliens. It's definitely aliens. But
That's what. Oh my gosh. Wait. The videos were already leaked. Okay, just to bring it back. I'm sorry. I'm looking at BBC News. So the U.S. Department of Defense has released the 3D classified videos of unexplained aerial phenomena. Right. The videos have already been leaked in 2007 and 2017.
okay, see that's
Two
where
were
I've seen them
published by the
before.
New York. Right. So 2 were published by the New York Times, while the 3rd was leaked, get this, by an organization co-founded by former Blink 182 singer Tom DeLonge.
What? Oh,
is that real?
I'm not.
that is
That
real.
is 100% BBC News, real. Look that up. 28th of April, 2020. Boise, Idaho, new cultural hub of the world.
So all the small things, truly, it's about aliens.
All the small things. I am not shitting you right now. That's hilarious.
Wow.
All the small greens, antennas, weird rings.
No, keep going. You're doing
Say
great.
it ain't so. I will not go up in the spacecraft. Carry me, please,
UFO.
Carry
to
me,
my
you know,
actually
you
home.
have
Or
fun.
actually, yeah. There you see. Look, you guys are already better than me. I'm not good. I can't do that. I can't do that. You asked me to freestyle in any capacity, and it is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm a scripted actor. Period. Every single improv class I've ever taken, I bomb. Absolutely bomb. Ibsen, throw it at me. Let's go. Shakespeare, throw it at me. Let's go. Hey, do this scene where you have to poop and you're in a volcano. No, nope, can't do it. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. Like,
I don't know what to do no more.
Do I say no a lot?
Improv's kind
No
of
but,
terrifying.
no but, no but. I don't know. That's a deep,
It is
that's a
terrifying.
deep cut joke for all the yes and folks out there. Oh, I'm gonna take another drink just thinking about improv. Holy shit! Do you guys
Oh my
remember
God.
improv? Oh my! I would give an arm
Dude.
and a leg just to fail in an improv class right now with other people.
I know, that sounds kind of fun right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
God damn it! I've never wanted to suck so bad in my life.
Really?
Wait.
Is this the time? No, just kidding. That's so fun. Oh my gosh. Well,
I am now on my
it's a
second
crazy.
beer, by the way. That's why I'm getting nice and loosey goosey. This is a.
Oh yes, this is a good. I mean, that's one of the beauties about podcasts. You can just kind of get casually inebriated. I am
Yeah.
as well.
So, audience,
And-
if you notice our conversation deteriorating, that's because we are deteriorating. Slowly.
Okay, Nick,
Maybe
I have a
quickly.
question for you.
I'm
I
ready.
have a question
Fire
for
at
you.
me.
Earlier, you mentioned when you were leaving Seattle, you almost got arrested. And I'm
Wait.
wondering if you can tell us that story and relate it to being an artist in the pandemic.
Yes. I'm going to say yes to that. Okay. So as to not incriminate myself, this is a story. So as in it didn't really happen. It happened. Okay. So the thing is that as was stated before, I did not pack before we left for an entirely new city. And so what that means is that I also didn't think about the big ass furniture that we would have to get rid of before we left. So when I looked up the laws in Seattle about leaving things on the street, they were very strict. And so these things, I basically dragged my whole apartment worth of furniture because we couldn't fit any actual real furniture in the car, obviously. And you guys know, so just a quick layout of my apartment. Either you take the stairs right next to I was on the top floor, of course, and it was a walk up. And either you take the stairs, which is filled with heroin needles, or you take the ramps, which are super long. Like, even someone on a wheelchair on those ramps is like, I don't even know that there is an incline. There's not an incline here. Like, I'm not feeling it, you know? Like, they're very long.
Yeah, those ramps were
inclines.
really long.
Unnecessarily long, like, I gotta say. And so I took the ramps and I basically dragged every single bit of my apartment through the ramps, down 3 sets of floors, out the front door of my apartment, which, you know, we lived in Capitol Hill, so not a totally empty place. But in the middle of the night, I would basically take an entire bed frame over my head, drag it out to somewhere that I thought was dark enough, and I would just leave it there. Theoretically, this is what I was doing if I was in that situation, which I was not. And
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And at one point, I was making one of my final trips. So I had like 3 chairs with me or some bullshit, right? Like I'm like, you know, I don't care if these things, where they end up. So I'm dragging them. I'm scratching the walls. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm about to move out of this apartment. There's no cameras. Like, I'm basically throwing them down the ramps at this point. And so we get outside. And I'm like having to find, like, there's so much of my apartment on the street at this point that I have to like actually find new places to put my stuff because I don't know where else to put it. And so I find
You have to
a
start
place
getting creative.
I had to walk 2 blocks, all right, to get to this new spot with 3 chairs, basically. Like, it's obvious what I'm doing, right? And a cop car pulls up and like shines his light directly in my face. And like I'm sitting here like 3 chairs like juggled basically on my body. I'm like looking him dead in the eye. He can definitely see like, you know, the bed, the desk, the chair, you know, like the pillows, everything, right? He can see everything. Basically my entire apartment is just out hanging out to dry outside.
And that's when he turns the light on?
Yeah. Yeah, this dude starts chasing me. So he basically turns his lights on like he's going to arrest me. And I had looked it up before because I wanted to make sure if I was going to get in trouble or not. It's $1,000 it's $500 per piece of trash you leave on the street. So I had left roughly 37 pieces of trash. No, I don't know how many it was. Every piece of trash in my home was no longer in my home. It was on the street. So me knowing that there's a maze in front of me when I go into the home of staircases with heroin needles or the other thing, you know, our place was it was a very giant maze. And yeah, Spencer, you lived here too. That was wonderful. Anyway,
yeah.
So
hypothetically, I did live there.
Hypothetically, you lived there, and so I sprinted. Instead of say hello to the cop, how you doing, sir? I sprinted away from the car because I knew I could make it to the door before he could.
You ran?
Yeah, I ran from the cops.
Well, because the roads are all weird around there. Like you can drive around like 2 blocks. You can be like right next to our apartment, but you have to drive around like 3 blocks to actually get to like the street that our apartment's on.
Exactly, and I knew that, so I
ran. Seattle roadways.
And I was literally like, I'd never sprinted so hard. I was sprinting. I was like, I'm straight up running from the police right now. I'd never felt more alive. And I open the door, I fling it open, and I sprint up to my apartment. I close the door, and Bree's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Shush, shush, shush!" And I like turn off all the lights, and we close the blinds, and we sit in the kitchen on the floor with our arms crossed. And I just go, and Bree's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Don't whisper, even." And someone knocked on our door and we just didn't answer it, for real. Like the cops came in the building and were searching the building for me specifically. And so so at this point, and I'm running on like 30 hours no sleep at this point. And so so every hour is useful. I had 2 more hours worth of things I needed to drop off on the street, you know, for recycling purposes. And I lost those 2 hours because the police were looking for me. And they never found me, thank God. But after that, I was like, hypothetically. And so the sun comes up, and at that point we assume that, you know, there's probably something else going on that the cop had to deal with rather than some idiot putting all their furniture on the street. Because, okay, look, no hate on Seattle PD, but also all the hate on Seattle PD. One time, they're so slow. They're terrible. Look, if you're a policeman in the Seattle Police Department, I have all the respect in the world for you. But if you run this system, if you are in charge of the system of how the Seattle Police Department runs, you can go fuck yourself. It does not run well. It runs so bad.
Nope.
It's terrible. So
I've been woken up in my apartment, that same apartment, by the police 2 times where they were looking for a noise complaint, and they were told it was my apartment, and we were asleep.
It was probably me.
Like,
they're like, "Do you own furniture still?" And you were like, "Yes." And they were like, "All right, go back to your place."
All right. Do you own furniture? That's your job. Oh man, that's such a funny question to ask, sir. Can you tell me that there's furniture in this apartment?
I said, yeah, and then our car broke down on the way to Oregon, and then we had to fly to New York to a broken apartment.
Yeah, you didn't even make it to Oregon? You didn't make it to the other state?
Yo, we made it to Oregon, but that's not even 1 state east, my guy. That is 1 state south. We literally didn't make it. We probably were less miles. We were probably more miles away from New York when our car broke down than when we started in Seattle.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh.
At least Bree's parents were so nice to take us in and help us get to New York. I mean, without that, we would have basically
Yeah.
just been like SOL for like another 6 months while we saved up the money to get there.
Right.
Yeah,
Proof.
thank God.
Well, I'm
Carrie
glad I'm
and,
going to
Jay,
Atlanta
if you're listening.
because, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
shout out to them.
So what
Just
about
'cause
Atlanta is calling you there, Warren? Why don't you talk about that?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that I'm mainly excited about is that it's a new place. I love being able to go different places. I love going to check out different cities and different cultures. I just love being able to explore different areas, and I've never been to the South, and
You're gonna love
ever.
it.
Yeah, it'll be cool to go see, and you know, it's got a lot of history there, and I love history, and it's got a lot of it, and of all different kinds, and so I really love that part about it because it's funny, like living when we lived in Seattle, that was such a new city in comparison to American history, and so it's like
that
it
was
was
new
funny
for
just
me
like being in
when I moved there for sure.
right, being in St. Louis, being
Even
from
coming
St.
from
Louis.
St. Louis, which is like I would say half as old as New York, right? Like coming from St. Louis, even I was in Seattle and I was like, "What? The oldest building is 100? It's 100?
Yeah.
That's the oldest one."
Yeah,
I was like, "What?
People go
What?
like, oh, look at these vintage homes. These vintage homes here. And you're like, that was built 50 years ago.
A vintage home means like 1780. Like
Yeah.
1820.
Right.
Like, you know, vintage home in Seattle, they're like, "Oh yeah, it was built in the 1980s. It's a real fixer-upper." You know?
I don't know though. That building we lived
Absolutely.
in, the Doho, the Casa del Rey, was
I loved it.
built in 1918, I think.
I think it was,
Right.
1918 or 1914.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, that was
It was,
amazing though.
cool.
Living in that building was incredible. They were definitely ghosts.
Oh my gosh.
And they were so
Spencer,
friendly. They were so nice.
Yeah. Like Spencer, our first night moving there, talking about like your moving out, moving in experiences and stuff. Our first night at the Casa del Rey was, our first whole day there was just insane. You remember that, Spence?
Yeah, that was the day we got locked outside with our laundry. And yeah, we had just moved in,
like,
and our move had been delayed 3 weeks because, as we found out later, the landlord was living in the unit that we were supposed to live in, and he was waiting for a better one to open up so he could move on top of us, on the unit on top of us. And
Classic
then
Chris.
yeah,
which did not work out in his favor in the long run, by the way.
No, we threw a lot of parties. We threw really good parties, and we threw a lot of them.
But yeah, to continue what you're saying, Spencer. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got locked outside when we were going to do laundry because it wasn't that our lock broke, but we left our keys inside. We left the door unlocked, and then the doorknob fell off when we went to open it.
We were literally locked out of an unlocked door.
That's so funny.
That's what's going on, right? And
That
so we
did
don't
not
have our
have Wi-Fi.
phones. Yeah, we didn't have our phones on us.
One person had their phone.
Yeah, well, whether me or you did, I definitely did not have the phone. But we went to like different neighbors, even to like talk with them. You know, like, hey, do you know where the landlord is? You know, or like the manager is, so that we can like talk to him about our unlocked door or about our locked out door. And what we went to different people, and we find out, like what Spencer was saying, that he lived at top of us. And it was like, okay, we go over there, and we go up, we run up the stairs, we knock on his door, and he opens the door like a small little crack, and he's like, what? And we like show him the doorknob in our hands, and we're like, we can't get into our apartment.
He's in a huge rush. He's like putting his shoes on and running out the door. He's like on his way to his other job, his coffee job, which is like just downstairs. And he's like, oh fuck, I don't have time for this shit. Fuck. And then he just starts trying to kick in the door. Like he's straight up is just like starts trying to kick it in as hard as he can. And he couldn't get it to even budge because these are like really like molded wood, like, you know, big beams in the walls. I mean, it's an old building, you know, they kind of built it a little sturdier. door. And
I
so
gotta
he
say
just like
though,
goes,
like at that moment, I was kind of like, well, that's kind of nice to know that our door's pretty sturdy. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, if he can't get the door in, I mean, that's pretty secure, you know?
yeah, I liked knowing that our landlord couldn't kick our door in.
Didn't know
Not
effect.
even if he was late to the coffee job he had downstairs.
Yeah. Downstairs.
Yo, that guy was late to a job he had 3 flights of stairs away from him. That's the funniest part of that story.
That's a
He's
great.
literally
that's
like
a great,
he's running
little
he's running
sidebar.
so late to that job that he's going, oh shit, and being rude to everyone on the way there.
Right. He's kicking in a door.
He's
so
kicking
pissed.
indoors. That's how late he is to the job. That is the same address. It's the same address that he lives at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the funny thing is how it was resolved.
So like
How was it resolved?
You should
we
tell
met
it,
two
Warren.
neighbors during well, we met 2 neighbors that on our travels to find the manager, right? One people were like, do you know where the manager is? And it was Justin and Kez were their names, and
Yeah.
this is the first time
ask if it was
so
Kez.
shout out to them. Yeah, it was Kez. And so they were like, hey, do you need help? And we're like, yeah, well, we're locked out of the door, we don't know what to do. And Justin was like, do you have like a knife? And for some reason there's like someone found a butter knife or something like that, and he was like, okay, thanks. So a little bit about our apartment before I go on is that
wait. I have to correct you,
in
Warren.
Seattle,
I think what we said
right,
is that there's a butter knife inside, right? And so, like,
well, he needed something to cut the screen open. There was either like a knife or some scissors that we were able to find.
That's right.
Right. So, yeah, like to give a little bit of like to set up the apartment, we lived right on the street level, 3 stories high, right? So we were 3 stories high, right on the street level. So, right next to a fire escape. And this guy, Justin, this is the first time we've met, right? It's like, hey, we're locked out of our apartment. He scales the building of the apartment from the fire escape. He goes out to the fire escape, and it's a brick building, and he's scaling the brick building 3 stories high, and he's like MacGyver scissors, cuts the screen door into our bathroom, opens the window up, sneaks in, grabs a butter knife, and we jiggle the door open from both sides, and we get in the apartment.
Yeah, and like this guy, I mean, he's literally like maneuvering these scissors with like one hand on the fire escape, and like in the window, like after he got the screen off, that he like had to like shimmy the like old school like wood block, window frame with like the paint that makes it stick like up, and then the window's not big. It's like 18, like 20. I don't know. It's like you're like smaller than your normal shoulder width, and you had to crawl through that onto the toilet and then get through. Like
3 stories high
as hell. Yeah. So needless to say, we were pretty good friends with them, pretty good neighbors.
Yeah. We treated them to some.
I mean, I
fun
moved in
nights.
a year later, and we still hung out with Kez and Justin. They were great.
Yeah, they were great.
Should we just say, what do we say at the end? Thank you for listening.
Yeah, like, hey, well, Spence, like, thanks for coming on, man. Thank you for being able to be our first guest on the show. I felt like we talked about some really cool stuff, and
also you'll probably be on
really appreciate
another episode at some point soon.
Yeah.
And
thanks,
Spencer.
Guys.
One more time for everybody out there who's still listening to this podcast 3 hours in. What are you selling? When are you going to be online that we can buy a ticket to come see you and Julia perform this incredible play called Nexus? Tell us all that information just one more time.
Perfect.
Yeah, so Nexus is going to be performed online several times, as I understand, but our performance of it, which will be a live stream performance on Zoom, will be on May 17th, Sunday at 1 p.m., and you can buy tickets if you just like look that shit up, Google it, find it.
Yeah.
The play is Nexus by Danielle Mohlman, And it's been produced before, and she's using this quarantine time to create opportunities for actors and share a great story about a complicated relationship. So definitely tune in for
wonderful.
that.
Spencer, you're an incredible
Fantastic.
person and an incredible artist who, Warren and I, we know you very well, obviously. So, yeah, just all love. I love you guys so much,
Yeah.
Y'all rock.
Love you, Spence. Thanks so much
I
for
love
coming
you
by.
too.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
This has been, what's the title of this again? It's
This has been
Learning to Cope.
Learning to Cope.
This has been Learning to Cope
Hey.
with Nick and Warren with special guest Spencer Funk. All right.
Spencer Funk. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Peace.
Thanks again for coming to the. Thanks again, guys, for listening to the podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed our first episode, and thanks again to Spencer Funk for being such a good guest to come along and shoot the shit with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you had as much fun as we did recording it. We just want to give a short shout out to Project Music Heals Us. It's this amazing nonprofit operating out of New York City. They're providing classical music to people in need right now. So people who are in the hospital, people who are on lockdown hospitals, COVID-19 patients, and they're providing them with, music therapy and hope in a time of crisis. So really wonderful and inspiring organization.
Yeah, and also, again, putting a shout out there to go and see Nexus, starring our very own Spencer Funk and Julia Holden Hunkins, by Danielle Mohlman, May 17th, 1 p.m. Pacific. Oh, wait, no, 1 p.m. What is that? PDT? Clock. What's PD? Is that Pacific? Pacific. What's PDT? I thought it was PST.
Yeah.
It is PST, right?
It should be PST. But maybe don't.
Fuck it. Go see it. Just go see the show.
Just go see the show.
It's going to be awesome.
Google it.
Look it up.
It's Nexus, Danielle Mohlman. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to be amazing every night, but extra amazing. With,
you can definitely
Spencer
find the link by typing in Nexus, May 17th, Spencer Funk.
Yeah.
Boom.
So we've dropped that link below for you. And we've also dropped the link to Project Music Heals Us. Yeah. So with that, we love y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week or something.
PDT?
PDT. I think that's a typo.
That must be a typo.
Yeah, I don't know if it's PDT. But 1 p.m. if you're on the Pacific Coast and, do the math for all the other spots. But,
do the math, you fucks. Okay, awesome.
Idiots.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, goodbye. We hate you. Okay.